Hey there, how's it going guys? It's Henry, and what I want to talk about in this video is a very important topic of how to go past just making your first initial sales with your dropshipping store, your e-commerce store, and actually build a long-term brand that is there sustainably for the long-term future and can keep making you sales for years and years to come. So obviously this video might not be for you if you are getting into e-commerce or dropshipping just to make a quick amount of money or a good amount of money in a short period of time and then get out of it, because maybe then you might want to adopt a different strategy. But if you are in e-commerce or you are building up a dropshipping store, you might be watching countless videos now on dropshipping, looking to start off a store. But if you want to build that store for the long term, then obviously this video is for you. So I would ask you a question before we dive into the content in this video. What sort of things do you see in the top brands around you? What sort of things do the top brands or the top e-commerce brands do that perhaps you aren't doing in your marketing now? So, I mean, take a second, maybe try and answer those questions to yourself. But in the next few minutes, I will outline them properly in what the big e-commerce brands do that perhaps you aren't doing. So the first thing that big e-commerce brands do is they focus on customer relationships and customer retention. So what does this mean? So basically, if you take a look at the biggest e-commerce brands or even the brick and mortar brands that are doing the best, they don't just focus on an initial transaction. Their focus isn't just on getting you into their funnel and then letting you drop out. They actually sometimes make a loss in acquiring you into their funnel and getting you into their store, because they know they are going to build a huge relationship with you in the future, and you will get them a lot more money on the back end. So basically, how you can implement this, or a big takeaway that you can take from this first point, is perhaps you want to really develop your email list. Focus on building up an email list, even if you are just starting out with your dropshipping store. Don't just focus on the first initial transactions on the front end of your store. Actually build up that list, market to them consistently, give them some value, and build a relationship. Because if you look at the biggest brands out there, take a look at Apple, for example, or Nike. Look at the biggest brands. What do they have is they focus on the relationship around their customers, and that it creates a really strong, almost cult-like following. If I'm probably the same when it comes to Nike, at least when I was younger. They gave me such a good experience when I bought from them that I kept going back to them. I'm the same with Apple. I have a MacBook, I have an iPhone, because they don't just focus on giving me that initial transaction, but they actually build that relationship with me. So what you want to do is build up an email list and focus on not just the initial transaction with your customers, but market to them consistently through email, as an example. The second thing that big e-commerce brands do that perhaps you aren't doing is they focus on multi-channel marketing, which means they aren't just focusing on Facebook ads, for example. Even though I'm a big advocate of Facebook ads, I talk consistently on this channel on how you can use Facebook ads to get sales for your stores. The biggest brands don't just focus on Facebook ads. They don't just focus on one form of marketing, one traffic source, and so on. They might have started off with one in the beginning, but then they spread themselves out over numerous channels. They've got, especially when you look at the e-commerce brands now, they've also got big Instagram followings. So you want to focus on numerous channels, marketing channels, and not just focus on Facebook ads, for example. So some of the brands out there that are doing this are Daniel Wellington, which is a big e-commerce brand at the moment. MVMT watches, I believe. They were doing, actually I'll check my notes for 1 second. Daniel Wellington, for example, was doing $180 million in profit or in revenue. Can't remember which one, but every single year. And that is not just from focusing on Facebook ads. They weren't getting that amount just from Facebook ads. What they did is they built up a huge organic following on Instagram and other platforms in order to build that real following with their customers and allow them to scale to that level. So the big takeaway for you in this point is you want to focus on not just your Facebook ads and getting those initial sales, as I touched upon in the first point, but you want to build up an organic Instagram following as well. I will have guides on this channel on exactly how you can do that, but you also want to focus on those. And if you are solely on Facebook, you don't want to, again, just focus on the initial transaction, as I said, but build up huge email lists in the process of using the Facebook ads. If you're doing a free plus shipping offer or whatever you might be doing, focus that on building up a huge email list, which you can then on the back end market to these people for a long time. So the multi-channel marketing approach is something that these big brands all do. The third thing that a lot of these brands do is they focus on evergreen niches. So there's two things that you can do when going to a dropshipping store or starting up an e-commerce brand. One, you can focus on a trend. You can maybe take advantage of Pokemon Go. You can take advantage of something that's happening in the news and so on. And I still think you should do that. I believe it's a term called newsjacking. You do still want to take advantage of trends, but the big brands, if you look out there, they're in evergreen niches, which means they are in sort of the health industry or the health niche, providing for people interested in health. Maybe the jewelry or clothing niche, the wellness niche, the beauty and cosmetic niche. These are all niches that are long lasting. It doesn't matter what time of the year we're in. It doesn't matter what year we're in. Whatever, anything that happens, people are going to still be interested in health, wealth, and relationships. So if you are in those niches, if you do have some sort of luxury item or in an evergreen niche, as I mentioned, you do have the opportunity to build a huge brand that isn't centered just around a trend. So if possible, and you haven't picked a niche to go with a dropshipping store, for example, of course, try and niche down as much as possible, but focus on an evergreen niche so you can maximize that and turn it into a huge brand. So that is the third point and the third takeaway. So the fourth point, and what many brands do in order to actually build up those huge brands, many e-commerce brands are doing that, and you should as well, is utilizing influencers. Because in short, influencers really increase the perceived value of your brand or the product that you're trying to advertise. So back in the day, or even still now, brands like Nike, Louis Vuitton and stuff would reach out to actors, celebrities directly and get them to pose with products. And what this does is increases the perceived value, as I mentioned. So this really used to work with me. I used to see brands that some of my heroes used to wear when I was much younger, and I used to buy those products just because I'd seen David Beckham or whoever wearing that product. I went out and bought it. So this is something that definitely works. And the lucky thing for you watching this video is it's far easier to reach out to these celebrities and influencers using tools like Instagram to actually elevate your brand to a whole nother level and get customers continuously coming back to you just because they've seen this influencer using your brand. So if you aren't doing it now, you should be utilizing influencer marketing. Check out some other guys I've got on this channel that would help you out in terms of that. And yeah, this is just a short video on outlining exactly what to do if you want to take your dropshipping or e-commerce store from the level it's at now, making a few sales here and there, to actually building a long-term brand that keeps you getting sales for a long time. So once again, I hope this video helped. Comment below if you've got any insights on things that have helped you build a brand or things that you see working in terms of big brands out there. I'd love to hear your point of view as well. Give me a like to encourage this sort of content on YouTube. And once again, I'm going to have much more content coming to you and to help you out on this channel. So subscribe below if you like this kind of content, and I will see you on the next video.